Hello, we are live for episode number 1 of Ball and All. I am Pietro Ilardi. I'll be taking you through the next half hour. So we'll start today going through the MLB. We are doing a solo show today. A little rare, but we'll get through it. We'll begin the half hour with MLB baseball. We'll go through both the New York Mets and the New York Yankees. First off, we'll go through the Mets, opening a 3-game set with the Washington Nationals. Brandon Sproat expected to be on the mound, making his 3rd start, I believe, and at Citi Field. Making his 3rd start against Andrew Alvarez of the Nationals, leading into a 3-game finale at Citi Field. The Mets need every win possible here, to push forward and continue the playoff push. Their magic number, after taking 2 out of 3 from San Diego during the week, is down to 8, whereas they still have the biggest threat known to them, the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Giants, it was the Giants for a little while. It was the Reds for a little while. But now, biggest threat, like I mentioned, is Arizona. Arizona is only a game and a half behind them, I believe, with, I want to say 12 or 10 games left. The Mets, 3 months from June throughout August, been atrocious. There's no sugarcoating. They've been terrible. They haven't had, the pitching rotation was terrible until McLean, Sproat, and Tong came up. The offense is hot or cold. 1 week they're hitting 8 runs a game. 1 week they can't get past 2. And, that it derailed them. They were so close to the division lead for a majority of the early part of the season. And then they just lost steam following Philly. Philadelphia's already clinched the division, so now the Mets are battling for a wild card spot. Right now, they hold on to the 3rd wild card out of 3, and they're like I said, they're battling the Diamondbacks, the Cincinnati to a degree. They're 4 games behind San Diego. Taking 3 games from them, taking 2 out of 3 in a 3-game series helps astronomically. Do I think they could pass San Diego? Probably not, but we shall see. They would have to go on an absolute tear to be able to get that 2nd wild card spot, to secure themselves in a playoff push. And now I want to pivot over to Juan Soto. Started off the year, everyone was saying, oh, they got overpaid. They got robbed. They're not getting what they paid for. We're here now, the last week of the MLB season. 41 home runs, a career high, 100 RBIs, 30 stolen bases, another career high. Outside of his average sitting at 260, he's having a career season on the other side of New York. I know last year he had what was considered a career year at the Yankees, and this year he's topping all those numbers. Lindor is getting healthy. Hopefully he gets hot for the playoff push. Alonso's hitting around 270, which is the highest he's hit in the last 3 years. Compared to last year, he hit 220. I know he hit 40 home runs, but hitting 37 home runs with a 270 average is better than hitting 220. He gets on base more. He has career high in doubles for Alonso this year. Yeah, career high in doubles. That's never really been a part of his game. He's really been an RBI machine off singles and homers. So hitting doubles, that's helping the offense a lot. Brandon Nimmo is at his career high for home runs at 24. He's been hitting the ball really well lately for the Mets. And the worrisome part is the bottom of the lineup with guys like Jeff McNeil, Brett Beatty, Cade, Alvarez, Torrens. Can they perform in the postseason? Where last year we saw Alvarez really struggled in the postseason. McNeil played decent in the couple of games he played in the championship series, but he missed the majority of the postseason last year, coming back from injuries and whatever else. And the biggest question is, can the bottom of the lineup complement your top four of Alonso, Soto, Nimmo, and Lindor? Or are those top four going to have to carry the load for another potential deep playoff push? That's the biggest question for the Mets, I think, is how far can this rotation take them? You have Kodai Senga, who's currently on a stint in AAA to get himself right. We don't know. They haven't said if he's going to be on the playoff roster yet. Sean Manaea has been up and down. He's pitching to over a 5 ERA. Holmes has been solid for the year, but you're going to have to piggyback start him in the playoffs with someone. He can't be a guy you rely to go 6 innings in a playoff game. Peterson has been decent. He's had a couple bad starts, the last few starts, but for the most part, he's been pitching pretty well. And then you have the three-headed attack of your rookie pitchers, McClain, Tong, Sproat. Can they perform in a playoff atmosphere compared to regular season atmosphere? Very different once you get into October than pitching games in September or August. Now, I want to switch over to the Yankees really quick because they have a lot of similar points. Their bullpen hasn't been elite to say. They made great moves getting Doval and Bednar. That's really solidifying themselves. But then you still have Devin Williams, who hasn't pitched like we know Devin Williams could pitch. Devin Williams was one of the best, if not the best reliever in baseball last season. He gives up that home run to Pete Alonso, gets traded to the Yankees, and is nowhere near the level of what he was in Milwaukee. Is it a pressure thing, playing for the Yankees or playing for the New York market? Or is it that after he gave up that home run, he's in his own head about it, and he's, he can't get out of his head giving up Milwaukee's season last year in the wild card round? And the biggest question for the Yankees here is Aaron Judge. Will they finally get regular season Aaron Judge during the postseason? Or is it going to be another round of the postseason where Aaron Judge doesn't hit and everyone around him? Because they have a good enough lineup with Cody Bellinger, Ben Rice, obviously Judge, Stanton's back healthy. And they have one of the best, I think, rotations in baseball. I think they have one of the best two-headed attacks in the league with Fried and Rodon. And then you also factor in you have Luis Gil. And if Cam Schittler pitches, that's really good to have for your playoff push. Currently, they're slated to face Houston, of all teams, in the wild card round. Can they finally exercise the demon and move past Houston? Or is it going to be another Yankees-Astros thing where the Astros run away with it and go on another deep playoff push? That's the key for them, for the New York Yankees, is Aaron Judge performing like it's the regular season. And then I want to go backtrack a little bit back to the Mets. The biggest thing for them is their bullpen. They have Tyler Rogers has been pitching great. It's probably the best trade deadline move they made this year. Gregory Soto's been okay, but then other than and Edwin Diaz has been arguably again the best closer in the league. But other than those three, their bullpen still isn't. Yeah, I don't think it's good enough to go deep. You still have guys like Ryan Stanek, who, Stanek can't pitch. He blows he blows games left and right. You have Ryan Helsley, who's looked like an abysmal deadline acquisition, having over a 10 ERA since getting traded from St. Louis to the Mets. If I'm them, I would instead of piggybacking Holmes for a start, he comes out of the bullpen for the playoff. Him and Sean Manaea, they're bullpen arms. You piggyback them out of the bullpen for back-to-back innings. I don't trust them enough to go deep enough into a postseason. Okay, so now we have a ad break to get to. So, interested in having your voice heard? Interested in hosting a show on WIUR? Email our club president, Robbie Basil, or come by the station and we will help you get started. Have an announcement for a club or event you would like to promote? Email President Robbie Basil or DM us on Instagram at WIUR Gales Radio with your post or announcement concept. And lastly, are you interested in having an audio ad for WIUR or WIUR Sports Broadcasting? Again, DM us on Instagram with your concept and contact one of our e-board members who will help give you out more information. Now, on to football. Yay. New York. We'll go to the Giants first. The Giants had arguably game of the week against Dallas. A massive bounce back game for Russell Wilson and the offense, putting up 37 in Dallas, putting up 37 after getting shelled in Washington in week 1. I think their biggest game is against Kansas City. If they could beat Kansas City and get to 1-2 on the season, they're still alive. If they go 0-3, their season's over. 0-3 is a hard hole to climb out of, especially with the schedule the Giants have of Philly, Washington, and Dallas again after Kansas City. Kansas City also comes in 0-2, trying to, jumpstart their season after 2 one-possession losses to Philadelphia and the Chargers. Both teams need this game astronomically. I think you're going to see an offensive shootout again not offensive shootout. I think you're going to see the Giants offense put up points again. And I think their defense, especially with the way Kansas City's offense looked, I think their defense definitely has the potential to shut down and neutralize Patrick Mahomes. This game's on primetime, so everyone's going to have their eyes on the Giants in Kansas City on a Sunday night. Whereas the Jets, they're the Jets. Same old Jets every year. Week 1, they reel you in, put up 32 against Pittsburgh. The next week they play Buffalo. They can't move the ball. They put up 10 points in garbage time. Justin Fields looked great week 1, didn't look good week 2. Was it a product of the offense was just shut down by Buffalo's defense, or was it that they just weren't ready to play? Aaron Glenn takes the accountability here, stating in his press conference he feels he didn't have the team ready to play. But while that looked true during the game, I also think Buffalo's defense, after the week 1 game, giving up 40 to the Ravens, really locked in. They took away Garrett Wilson. So you take away Garrett Wilson, the Jets don't have another wide receiver on the other side to spread the field and open up the offense. It's Garrett Wilson or bust, essentially, because Allen Lazard hasn't been playing well. He didn't even play week 1. Week 2, he wasn't noticeable. Tyler Johnson's a 4th stringer practice squad guy that they've been elevating. He hasn't done anything in the NFL. And then Josh Reynolds is just a journeyman wide receiver. None of these guys are capable number 2s. The key for the Jets, if they wanted to have a successful offense, was to get a number 2 for Garrett Wilson. This is why when they cut Devontae Adams, they should have allocated that $30 million they freed towards one of the top younger wideouts on the market instead of spending it sparingly and trying to move salary cap over to next season. The run game week 1 looked great. Breece Hall looked like his old self. Braylon Allen looked great. Week 2 got shut down by a weak Buffalo run unit. Buffalo's run defense isn't the best when you consider Baltimore and Miami ran all over them. But, the Jets as well on offense, they ran the ball so much week 1, they gave the Bills exactly what's key on. They took away the run. They had to open the pass, and it killed the Jets. Now, going into Tampa Bay, just like the Giants, week 3 is a must-win game for the Jets. If they start 0-3 and they're serious about trying to be a playoff team with Justin Fields this year, and he's not even playing in the game. He has a concussion. He's gonna miss week 3. You have Tyrod Taylor now coming in. Could Tyrod Taylor, pull off an upset on Tampa? The Jets going into the game 6-point underdogs, Tampa Bay. In Tampa Bay's home opener. Could the Jets pull off an upset with Tyrod Taylor, their backup quarterback, another journeyman quarterback who hasn't really? I get he has had great moments, but he hasn't stuck around with one team for more than 3 years. Could he if they could pull off an upset in Tampa Bay, they're still alive, especially with Miami being 0-3. New England, I don't think is gonna be. I believe they're 0-2. Or no, New England's 1-1. New England's 1-1. The Jets are 0-2. Buffalo's 3-0. Miami's 0-3. If the Jets could pull off an upset, that still keeps them alive in the division, heading into another big division game in Miami the following Monday night. The next 2 games are 2 huge games for New York. They need to find what worked in week 1 on offense, whether it was attacking the run and find the weaknesses on the defense to open up the pass game, or whether it's airing out the ball. They need to find the weaknesses in a beat up Tampa Bay team. Defensively, their defense has been atrocious the first 2 games, giving up back-to-back 30-point performances to Buffalo and Pittsburgh. They need to find on defense on defense, where is Tampa Bay's weak spot? And that is on the offensive line. They're missing 3 Pro Bowl caliber starters on the offensive line coming into the game. Baker Mayfield's beat up. He took a beating against Houston Monday night. Their weapons are, can the secondary hold up against their wideouts? Their wideouts have been playing great. Mike Evans has been playing well. Egbuka has been that 3 touchdowns in 2 games, been Baker's top target. Could they shut both those guys down? Brandon Stevens. Oh my God. He's terrible. He's terrible. You're paying $30 million and he's traffic cone. I don't know if anyone watched the game. On James Cook's touchdown, no effort whatsoever to even attempt to tackle him. The second James Cook broke free, just jogging down the field, no effort to even make the play. It's why is this guy a starting corner? He wasn't good with Baltimore. He would get torched weekly in Baltimore. Why is it a good idea to have him as your number 2 corner to Sauce Gardner? Sauce Gardner's been playing great. Held DK to under 20 yards, shut down whoever was on his side against the Bills. He's playing like his Pro Bowl All-Pro self, but he's got no help in the secondary on their side between corners and safeties. Michael Carter was one of the top nickel corners in the league his first 3 years. Gets paid, hasn't played well since. The defensive line has been playing decent. They got destroyed last week on the run, because, they're hurt. Week 1, it's such a parallel from week 1 to week 2, how everything that played well between the defensive line, the offense just played horrible in week 2, and they have to get back to that formula they played in week 1. Because Tampa Bay is a lot more beatable than Buffalo was. Pittsburgh was beatable. till Xavier Gibson fumbles and you shoot yourself in the foot with penalties and mistakes. Undisciplined. Michael Clemens, undisciplined. 3rd and 19. You have to hit Josh Allen high above the helmet on a 3rd and 19. You forced a 4th down on the play. You cost your team 7 points instead of giving up 3. It's the undisciplined of they have to get in check with this discipline. They don't have it. They play very sloppy, whether it's on the offensive line, defensive line. You can't keep that because if they keep playing on discipline, they're not going to win more than 4 or 5 games this year. They have a very tough schedule. They don't have. Now, do I think they're playoff contenders? No. Do I think they could be a fun team if they play the right way? Absolutely. I think they could win 6, 7 games and improve from 5 wins last year. I think they could have a top offense, top 20 offense. I don't think they're going to have an abysmal offense. But at the same time, they do have the potential with a younger quarterback in Fields who's a lot more mobile than Aaron Rodgers was last year, and a healthier offensive line, way healthier offensive line this year, and a way younger offensive line to beat playoff contenders. But they have to win at least 2 in a row here and get to 2-2 to even have a shot at the playoffs, going home after Miami. They have to. It's a matter of, and I'm getting repetitive here, but it's the fact. It's a matter of you can't fall behind 0-3, 0-4, get hot, win 3 in a row, 4 in a row, go 4-4, and then be like, hey, we have a shot at the playoffs and collapse, because that's what the Jets do, and that's where the mantra comes. Same old Jets every year. They start off 0-4. They win 3 games in a row. Everybody thinks they're going to turn around, and they just lose another 5 in a row and finish with 5 wins in the season. That's all I have today. Shorter show than usual. Sports season's just picking up with football, baseball going to the postseason, but there hasn't been much really going on outside of that. The Jets and Giants haven't done much so shorter show, but thank you for whoever's watching for tuning in, and we'll be back next week, next Friday, same time, same place.